Congratulations on your nomination. Best of luck to you, and we'll be here to support you in any way that we
Senator
can.
Isakson.
I certainly will. Let me start off by saying thank you to the department, to the State Department, and to this administration on the Open Skies agreements, which you may or may not be familiar with, but if you aren't, they're essential for the aviation industry and for our country. And this administration and the Bureau of Economic Development of the State Department have done a great job of seeing to it that Open Skies is enforced. I hope you'll commit when you get to the State Department, you'll continue that help and enforcement.
I will, Senator Isakson. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Secondly, I think Ambassador Haley is gone, but let me say this anyway. I'm a big fan of Africa, and I've developed an affinity for Africa since I've been on this Committee of Foreign Relations. I've traveled there extensively, and I think it's the continent of the 21st century in many respects for our country and for everybody else. China's demonstrating they think it's important because they're spending a lot of money and building a lot of buildings and things of that nature. Strategically, with the Straits of Hormuz and many of the locations they have and what's been going on in the Persian Gulf, Africa is tremendously helpful. There are 1.5 million people there, 50 million alone, 150 million alone in Nigeria. Lots of opportunity economically, but it's important that we focus and help them build and develop and grow. Are you familiar with Millennium Challenge Corporation?
Yes, Senator. I'm familiar with it at some level.
Well, I'm a big fan. I think President Bush did a phenomenal job by establishing that program as sort of a partnership economically to help build infrastructure in those countries and have developed governing boards of the Millennium Challenge accounts that held the African countries who received the investment responsible for ending corruption, having better worker laws in their country, and being a partner with the United States to economically develop in their country. So I hope that as Secretary of State, when you have the chance, you'll focus on the Millennium Challenge Corporation and what they're doing, because it's part of that soft power that we have a capability to use to win a lot of friends and influence a lot of enemies. And the reason I use Ambassador Haley as an example, we from time to time need a lot of money, votes in the UN. The more friends we can make in countries in continents like Africa, the more votes we can influence to help us on big issues that we need in the United Nations. So I hope you'll focus on Africa when you have the chance and realize what the State Department has done. Lastly, this is kind of an editorial statement. My experience of the State Department has been that it has been in a blue funk for about 1.5 years. And one of the things, and I told you this when you came to my office, I thought there was a real need for a perk, for an adjustment, and for an attitude improvement in the State Department. I think you afford the opportunity to be that catalyst of the department. To your credit, your critics and your complimenters, or whatever that term should be, at the CIA, give you high marks for bringing that agency back in enthusiasm and motivation and in mission. And I think your meetings with Mike that you referred to in your opening statement and your printed statement were exactly the seed for them, because all of a sudden the employees had a chance to speak out to you, tell you what they thought needed to be done, and you had the chance in that environment to tell them what they could be as a partner with you to help that happen. And as I understand it, and I'm not shilling for anyone, but as I understand it, the attitudes of the State Department are the best that they've probably ever been, that the unity there is strong, and the understanding of the mission of the rank and file employees is great. So I want to challenge you to replicate where possible in the State Department that same energy and fire that you have at the CIA, because the State Department needs it desperately. And the State Department is our hope for peaceful settlements of difficult problems and putting our best foot forward early so we don't have to put our biggest foot forward late. And if you can do that and accomplish what you did at the CIA, at the State Department, you'll be a great secretary. Would you commit to trying to replicate what you've done there already? And please feel free to brag about yourself.
Senator, I will. I'll actually do just the opposite of that. What you described took place because of the talented officers, the expertise, the professionals at the Central Intelligence Agency. That is, I had enormous human capital with which to build a team. And I know the State Department's the same way. I know that the local employees, the civil service, the foreign service officers have that same esprit, that same desire for mission and to be relevant and to be important and to do if you sign up to be a foreign service officer, if you decide to devote your life to that, you have a special commitment. And my task, if I'm confirmed, will be to free them up to go do the great work that they signed up to do when they came aboard at the State Department. I'll work at that every day.
Well, you just demonstrated by giving the credit to the employees of the CIA exactly why you were such a popular director there, and I'm sure will continue at the State Department. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.